It should be Filet-o-Fish season when this video launches, and let's talk about making a better Filet-o-Fish sandwich. We're going to be making everything that we possibly can, custom, from scratch. This is going to take some time, and it's definitely not going to be super cheap, but it is going to taste great. So let's start off with potatoes. I have 2 russet potatoes right here. Okay, peeled, and any spots that looked bad to eat, cut off. Now, we're going to cut them down into rough fries. I'm not looking for super duper symmetrical pieces, nor am I looking for super duper thin pieces. I want fries that are decently thick. These are going to shrink up as they cook, so I wouldn't worry too much if they seem kind of big right now. They will look a little bit smaller once they're on your plate. And I'm also going to freely admit that not all of these potatoes are going to be cut the same size. Some will be bigger than others, but I'm not looking for fine dining. I'm looking for good home-cooked food. After cutting up our potatoes, we put them in a bowl of water. And I'm just gonna move them around a little bit. We wanna get the excess starch off of these potatoes. Water's gonna get cloudy. And after about 30 seconds of that, we're gonna drain these off. Get yourself a pot of water, add some salt to it. Then I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons white vinegar. Add our drained and rinsed potatoes and get this boiling. Once we get a boil, we wanna watch things closely. We wanna stir it around every now and again. 10 minutes of cook time, and I think we are definitely getting close. Oh, yep. As carefully as I can, I'm gonna take these out, and I'm gonna put them on a wire rack. And you're probably gonna get some breakage. It's okay, just let it happen. However, I think I'm breaking a bit too many of them, so I'm switching to some tongs to see if that will help. That right there is what we're looking at. This whole tray goes in the freezer for 1 hour. Let's talk about making our own tartar sauce, and that involves making our own mayonnaise. Now, that does involve using raw eggs. If you're somebody who has concerns about raw eggs, especially in this particular day and age, I sympathize. I'm gonna see what happens to myself. Let's hope I'm still alive in about a week or 2. Okay, 1 raw egg goes into this cup, and then we're gonna add 3/4 of a cup of olive oil, half a teaspoon of sugar, a good squeeze of lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, an eyeballed amount of black pepper. I'm gonna put about 1/2 tablespoon of white vinegar. Get yourself an immersion blender, stick it right down into the bottom, and start it. And stop there. So, once we start to see the emulsion happen, right, when we start to see it solidify, that's when we're gonna run it, but we're gonna start lifting it up. And what I like to do is I like to start it, lift it up, and then push it back down. Don't get any funny ideas about how this looks. And then we wanna stop. You do not wanna run this for too long. If you run the blender for too long, it's gonna generate heat. You're gonna start cooking your mayonnaise. That's not good. And then we give it a taste. Good Lord Cthulhu up in heaven, please do not let me get bird flu or salmonella. I like that spicy little kick of mustard at the end. That's really good. Gonna add just a tad bit more sugar. And for this, I'm gonna stir it in with a spoon, not with the blender. All right, let's try this. Ooh, perfect. Let's turn our mayo into tartar sauce. I have a red onion here. I'm just gonna chop up a couple of rings, about that much. And then I'm gonna use my knife to just go over it a little bit. Okay, and with my hands, let me look to see if there are any large pieces. And I think this is good. Now, red onions have a particularly harsh flavor unless you do something to them, like cooking them, or in my case, I'm gonna rinse these. I'm gonna rinse these under some cold water for about 30 seconds, and that should take away a lot of the pungency. Next step, let's get some dill pickles. And same thing as last time, we run the knife over them a couple times. Now, we get some dill. The urge to make a dad joke, nearly overwhelming. But we chop this up as well. Get our mayonnaise back. Let's add everything to it. Let me give things a taste at this point. More lemon juice. So I'm gonna add about that much. And it's just a tad bit more dill. A little bit more sugar that I will just pinch into here. Mix it up again. It is looking a little bit thin. That's my only worry. Let's see. Ooh, I like that a lot. In an attempt to thicken the tartar sauce just a little bit, I'm gonna add a little bit more olive oil, get my whisk, put it in here, and just start using my hands. It's like starting a fire. And I think that is the best I'm gonna get. Oh, we absolutely have a thicker sauce. With the extra oil, I do need to add a little bit more sugar, and I'm gonna get a little crazy. I'm gonna add some hot sauce to this, just a bit. How are we looking now? That is perfect. Life and errands have gotten in the way today, so I'm not gonna be able to finish up everything tonight. However, the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the second cook on our fries. We're not gonna cook them all the way. We're gonna save the third cook for tomorrow. You'll see what I mean. I have my Dutch oven, I have some oil in it. We're gonna turn on the heat, and we're gonna get this thing to a temperature of 375. Let's add our fries. I'm definitely gonna have to cook these in batches to avoid overcrowding the oil. And after about a minute, they've been cooked lightly on the outside. That's what I want, so we're gonna pull them out. And that is our result. So this goes back in the freezer for us to cook again tomorrow. All right, next day, I'm gonna finish this out in my workout clothes. I've been busy. We're gonna make our sandwich buns. These are gonna be brioche buns. To start off with, I'm gonna add 1 cup of flour to a bowl, 1/4 cup of sugar. We need 3/4 of a tablespoon of yeast that I am just gonna try my best to eyeball. That's pretty good. And then 1 cup of milk that's been warmed up to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. We mix that in. Cover the bowl with a towel and let it rest for 30 minutes. As we get close to this being done, we're gonna melt 100 grams of unsalted butter that's just under 1 stick. And we're also gonna get 3 eggs into a bowl and whisk them together. To our yeast, we add the eggs, melted butter, 1/8 teaspoon of salt, which is really about, I don't know, that much, eyeballed amount. We whisk. We're gonna add 2 cups of flour. We're gonna add the flour in small amounts, and when the dough becomes unworkable with the whisk, we're gonna switch to our hands. 2 cups of flour in, and it's definitely become a little unworkable, so we need to add some more flour, and I'm gonna swap this out. Slowly add flour over time until I get the consistency that I'm looking for. Okay, I think I've reached the consistency that I'm looking for, so now I'm just gonna knead it a few times. I've got a dough ball. It's got minimal stickage. I've kneaded it a few times. Now I can go ahead, give it a rest, cover it again with a towel, and let it double in size. That whole process will take about 1 hour. Our surface is floured. Let's get this boy out. Here, I'll just maybe I can just turn him over. Get out of the bowl. With the surface floured a little bit to make it easier to handle, I'm gonna push down a bit and use my bench scraper to cut this bad boy in half. So we'll cut this guy in half. Probably gonna get some buns of different size, but we'll just pick the best one for our sandwich. I'm gonna cut these in half one more time. Get a little more flour going here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of the edges of the shape and I'm gonna pinch it down below and then kind of stuff it into the bottom because I'm trying to make something that is roughly a sphere. I think that's pretty good. Put it on a baking sheet back here. We'll do the rest. So roughly kind of pull on the edges, pull them downward, and then use my other hand here to stuff it back inside. Okay, I got 6 on the baking sheet here and 2 extras on the extra large cast iron skillet. I'm gonna try and bake all these at the same time. We'll see if my oven has the space. For now though, they need to rest covered for yet another 30 minutes before we can bake them. With a few minutes to go, I'm gonna add an egg to a bowl and pour in just a little bit of water. Tiny whisk. Unveil our buns. They've risen a little bit. And brush the buns. And because these are meant to be McDonald's buns, we're gonna put some sesame seeds. To the oven they go. Here they are. They all look very, very pretty. They've all puffed up to a good degree. Some have split, but I consider that just to be part of their charm. I think this guy, though, is gonna be our winner. That is almost a perfectly shaped bun. For our fish, we are gonna make a dredge and a batter. I'm gonna put in a 1/4 cup of cornstarch, if I can get it out of the can. 1 tablespoon of flour, a good amount of salt. Whisk that together. We're gonna put this dredge in this plate here. Lots of surface area for the fish. Dredge goes aside. Let's talk about batter. And I forgot to turn on my light, so that problem has been fixed. Now, let's make batter. I'm gonna add in roughly 3/4 of a cup of flour, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. And for our salt and our seasoning, I'm going to take a shortcut. I'm gonna use Slap Ya Mama, because as I've said before, nobody makes better food than the folks down in Louisiana. That seems good. And you know what? A little more can't hurt. Before we do the last couple things, you want to toast up your buns, you want to have a slice of American cheese nearby, and you want to heat your oven to 200 degrees, no warmer. I'm gonna add one more dry ingredient to my batter, and that is some turmeric. Just a little bit. That's gonna add a little bit of yellow coloring to the final product. Now, let's cap off this batter. We're gonna add some light beer. We'll try half the can. If it's too thick, we'll add more. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And that's for me now. All right, we got a piece of cod right here. We're gonna put it in our dredge. We need to make sure that every surface possible is covered. So all of the corners, all of the edges, all of the sides. Get it coated in a thick layer of this stuff. This is what's gonna allow our batter to stick to the fish. Now bring the batter over here and get it in there. Now, I went for a pretty thick batter. We got our hot oil going. It's around 370. Which is good enough for me, so let's go ahead and just drop our fish right in there. Fish cooks very quickly, so when it looks done, it's done. All right, that is the state of our fish. It looks golden brown. Put it on this plate, and we need to get all of these bits of batter out as well. This goes into our oven in the meantime, because now it's time for our fries. That one fish fillet didn't cool down my oil too much. In fact, it's still pretty much at 370. But if you're doing this at home and your oil cools quite a bit when you're frying your fish, you want to wait for the oil to come back up to a target temperature for the fries before you put them in here again. If you cook your fries at too low of a temperature, they're gonna get greasy. Cook these for another 3 to 4 minutes. And while these fries are going, let's take our tartar sauce and let's get our buns ready. All right, these are ready to come out. We take them, we put them into a bowl. I should probably have lined this bowl with paper towels, but I didn't. Season them immediately. Toss them around as well. All right, fish fillet on top. Bun with cheese and tartar sauce on top. Fries. And there we are, y'all. A Filet-o-Fish meal. I have discovered, unfortunately, that I have no ketchup, but I'll survive. Let's try these. Nice crunchy exterior, super fluffy on the inside as well. All right, but that's not the star of the show. The star of the show is all this right here. This thing is huge. My God, how am I supposed to fit? All right, I'm gonna do my best. When you breathe a sigh of satisfaction, and you just feel like everything is right in the universe, that is a sign that you've had a good meal. And this is a good meal. I love this. The fish is seasoned well. It's perfectly cooked, crunchy on the outside. Taste the cheese, taste the bun. Let me get some more tartar sauce on there, though. All my tartar sauce is oozing out, though. I think I made a mess. Let me clean that up. Not a lot of ways for you to go wrong here. Time consuming? Yes. Worth it? Yes. Absolutely. So I'm gonna finish this up. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you found this interesting. I hope you found it inspiring. I hope you go out and make a delicious fish meal. It's Filet-o-Fish season, so obviously if you're somebody who practices Lent, I hope you make some good fish-based meals. I might have another one for you. But until we see each other again, go cook something amazing, and I will see you next time.